Hey guys, Loomis here, and I am back from my hiatus on my Ancient Call series with our new boss guide today, which we will be covering Nidhogg, the green dragon here. So, this fight is split into two different phases. The first one being, obviously, the Nidhogg phase. Now, at the end of every Nidhogg turn, it will inflict a debuff on a random hero, that we'll call the Plague debuff. And what Plague does is that it increases your AoE damage taken, and it will make a fixed damage hit on you equivalent to 30% of your health, hit you at the end of your next turn. So this debuff lasts for 2 turns, it's undispellable, but if Nidhogg dies, it will dispel itself, which is nice. And starting phase 2, it will inflict on 2 units per turn. So because of this, you're going to want to make sure that if you have any of your DPS units hit by this, or really anyone, that they don't move last, so you're able to figure out how to heal them up so you don't get absolutely destroyed when he's attacking next turn. So in terms of skills, he will do 3 attacks in this order. The first attack being a 1.5 times damage single target skill that deals magic damage. It's a very basic attack, nothing special to it. Although starting phase 2, it will add a buff that whenever units hit will start dealing fixed damage around itself. Equivalent to their current HP, 1 circle around them, so think Sword Dance range. Now, it's very similar to the Thunder Dragon, level 70, the static electricity debuff that he flicks on you, whatever, and after you move, you do damage to your friendly units in a range around you. It's very similar to that. Now, the second attack is a 3-line, 9 square long AoE attack in any direction with 2+ units. Now, the interesting thing about this AoE is that it can be cheesed and completely avoided if you don't have 2 units in any of the 4 directions around him. So if you position yourself properly when this attack is about to happen, you can avoid it completely, and what he does instead is he will just do his first attack again as a second time. So you definitely want to position in a way that you can cheese this and avoid it, because otherwise it does a lot of damage and it's very annoying. And then his third attack is a 2 square AoE attack around himself that deals 0.8 magic damage. And then starting in phase 3, it goes from 2 square to 2 circles. So think 2 square is mage range if it wasn't moving. 2 circles is Leonhardt Fusion Emperor. So once Nidhogg dies, his phase is over, and I mentioned before that there's a second phase. Now, what is that second phase? Well, it's slimes. There is a slime phase on this fight. The slimes look like this. I apologize for the low resolution image. Now, the slimes, they will have 12 to 15 spawn every phase. And there's 2 types of slimes. So obviously, as you can see here in this image, there are green slimes. Now, green slimes reduce all damage taken to the unit by 80%. And anytime they die, they'll deal 0.15 AoE damage to the entire map. So it doesn't matter how far away you are from them, how you kill them, how you dispose of them, they will be doing the damage, dealing the damage. So you want to make sure that if you're going to AoE and kill multiple in one go, that you have enough health to tank the AoE damage hits, or you will kill your own units. So you just have to be careful there. And they apply a buff every time they attack you that increases your damage taken by 50%. So you want to make sure that you try to stay as far away from the slimes as possible as you kill them, and limit the amount of times they actually attack you. Now, the other slimes are red slimes. They don't have the damage reduction buff, but they have an aura around them that will increase AoE damage to all units within the 3 square range by 100%. So you're going to want to get rid of them first whenever you see a red slime. They might not spawn in a wave, but up to 2 will spawn, so they're going to be your first priority to take down when you are fighting them. And spawns, similar to the bosses, do add 3% to all stats every turn like Nidhogg. And another important distinction is, unlike the Thoughts and Memory phase, or the Hugin and Munin split up phase in H&M, that the damage you inflict on the spawns do not add to your total. So in this fight, the total damage counter only counts the damage you do to Nidhogg. So it's a very important distinction. Kill the slimes as fast as possible so you can get back to increasing your high score. Now, in terms of unit selection, the 2 factions that give bonus stats to this fight are the Princess faction and the Legend faction. Now, in terms of team composition, these are basically the archetypes that I would recommend. The first being Luna. Now, if you don't have Luna, she's really not replaceable in this fight, so I really hope you have Luna. Next, a DPS preferably with Blizzard. Another DPS, 2 healers, and a flex. So, We'll start off explaining Luna here. Now, you know what Luna looks like. I would recommend that you bring her Wind Spiral so she can have her attack conversion, Move Again, and Raging Thunder. Now, the reason why Luna is irreplaceable in this fight is that her end damage aura is key for mitigating damage overall throughout the fight. Most of the attacks on this map are going to be magic damage, so her aura is incredibly helpful for lasting longer into the fight and increasing her high score, and there's no other unit that can do that in the game, so you're going to really want her. You should also want her anyways, because she's meta for 3 of these fights. Move Again is necessary to help you reposition, to avoid the AoEs, or to do other things. In terms of her other 1-cost options, Gale could be considered, but I think it's too RNG and unreliable, and not as helpful as Move Again in this fight, and I would not even consider Wind Pressure, so Move Again is definitely her best 1-cost here. And in terms of equipment, you can bring Barrier Lance or Oak equipment instead of SSR stuff. However, I would recommend the following on her. Cursed Lance for obvious reasons. Assault vs. Twilight, there's merits to either. I don't think it really matters overall which one you bring. Bring whichever one you like or you have equipped on her. I would consider potentially a King's Crown so you can help increase the damage of other units you have. Also, because she has the Wind Spiral, you could try to proc it twice in one turn, so you get more damage overall. And then, for obvious reasons, her recommended accessory is the Veil of Light. Now, in terms of DPS Blizzard units, you really have 2 options with an asterisk on a third. So, the first one is Lana, and I'd recommend that you bring any 1-cost skill, the Dark Reaper, 1-cost attack, Dark Reaper, and Blizzard. Now, the single target skill choice doesn't matter because there's no units that you're going to have effective damage against from Freeze Strike or Lightning Strike, so it really doesn't matter. Bring whichever one you like. And the reason why Blizzard's helpful is that on the slime phase, Blizzard can restrict their movement to keep them away from you, so you can somewhat kite around them as you try to take them down. So Blizzard is very helpful for holding them in place and starting to take down the slimes so you can manage their damage increase debuffs that they will inflict when they attack you. And as far as equipment, I think it's very important for her to generally have the Astaroth Black Bride combo, as that will maximize her single target damage, and Black Bride will inflict debuffs that will just be generally useful to other units potentially. Like if she gets an MDef down, that'll be helpful if you have other magic units, defense down, even attack down. So it's something that's going to be very helpful, but obviously if you don't have it, you can bring Red Moon Tenyos. The reason why I have Sharon as an option here is that it does increases damage taken debuff. There's a chance for that, so that can be generally helpful for your team. And then in terms of mage accessories, for all magic units, I am basically considering Dimensional Jewel the best option, as if you can get a cooldown on a single target attack, you can do more damage, so that's very helpful. Eye of the Beholder can inflict the decreased damage. It decreases the enemy's damage by 50%. There's a 50% chance on that, so that can be helpful for survivability. Now, that being said, I don't think the mage accessory matters all that much as long as it has intelligence on it. So, the 8% intelligence. So pick whatever one you're using. It's not a huge deal. The other reason why I like Dimensional Jewel a little bit more than the other options is that it gives flat HP, and HP is helpful for these fights. So the second DPS Blizzard option we have is Close. Now, I would recommend that you bring Discipline, Faith, and Blizzard. So she can provide off-healing through Faith and Gift of Eternal Light. She's going to want to wear a Last Rite so she has the extra damage reduction. And in that similar vein, Highland Warriors are her preferred soldier, as they will give her the most damage reduction on this fight. You could also bring, Zealots or Heavy Infantry, but I think Highland Warriors are going to be the best one here. I would not recommend bringing Phalanx. Leave them on the bench. Even if they're level 10, your Highlands are only like level 8, Highland Warriors are going to be so much better in this fight because Phalanx offer absolutely nothing. You're not worried about physical damage reduction on this fight, and their attacking mods are horrible, so just leave the Phalanx on the bench. And in terms of equipment, it's going to be very similar to any other mage here. Obviously, Gift of Eternal Light, because she can equip it, is a great option due to the healing. Rights over Tenyos for the reduction. King's Crown, because she can wear it, helps buff your team up damage-wise, but Tenios is another fine option, and the rest are just the general mage options I'm recommending for this fight. And then for the asterisk one, that's kind of a third option, is actually Yuliya, because she can bring Discipline, Faith, and Shenwei. Now, if you don't know what Shenwei is, it's her attack, and one of the things that's on it is that it reduces enemies within a 2 square, their movement by 3. So that can help restrict the movement of the slimes during the slime phase and can be very helpful for managing how you're going to kill those slimes. She's obviously a very powerful unit, and in essence, she's a stronger close in most ways. Now, the downsides to using Yuliya is that, one, she's not supposed to be released until approximately November 21st. So she'll be coming out right when Ancient Call comes out. So you might not have her built up in time. And her Heart Bond's obviously not out right away, so she does have some time restrictions on her a bit. And I would not say that Close is necessarily a meta unit for this, or neither is Yuliya, but she can be very strong for this, and she's going to be running a very similar setup. Queen Scepter I like a little bit more due to the higher int. Now, yeah, so Yuliya, if you pull her 3-star, I would not replace her with Close, because that's pretty weak. You're going to want, a 5 or ideally a 6-star Yuliya here. So she does have some cons to use here, but she is definitely a usable option. So in terms of the non-Blizzard or non-movement reducing DPS options, first we have Rachel. And I would recommend bringing Meditation, Dark Reaper, or Arcane Blast on her. Now, Arcane Blast is used for helping on the slime phase. Attacking multiple slimes at once is beneficial, and MDef down is nice because there's going to be a lot of magic attackers. So her skill selection is flexible. You can bring Holy Word if you feel that you need to have more heals, and I've seen people definitely bring Lightning over Meditation, as it gives her more single target skills to attack Nidhogg with. I personally like Meditation because it gives extra intelligence and magic defense, 2 things that you're definitely going to want on this fight, but she has a number of options and can mix and match her skills quite a bit. And then in terms of equipment, it's just the general mage recommendations for this fight. Next, we have Narm here, and Narm I'm recommending because you have to build her for H&M anyways, so you're going to have her built. You might as well consider her. If your box is smaller and your resources are more finite, Narm is definitely someone you can substitute into this fight. Now, I'm going to recommend the same skills, Snipe, Deadeye, Roundabout, that I recommended on H&M. However, you could consider bringing Aim. She can fill in here on DPS or in the Flex role. So let's say you want to bring Lana and Rachel. You could bring Narm as an additional DPS. And because she can wear King's Crown, she does have some utility there, which is nice. The Last Rites helps her survivability. I think overall Narm is a little bit weaker than some of these other DPS options, but if your resources are finite, Narm is definitely a safe option to bring. Next, next is Chris, and I would not recommend her overall. However, she's definitely an option for this fight. I would run her with Redemption, Discipline, and Faith. She can provide some extra support through her talent and off healing, though, depending on your team composition, those 2 things might not be super beneficial. And she does have Highland Warriors to help with her bulk. She is kind of like a budget close option in a way. She's just not. She's very underwhelming, mostly because her attack boost is absolutely awful. And it's like 10%, I'm pretty sure. So she can't do all that much damage, and there's other units who can fill her role in better. But if this is who you have, it's who you have. And Chris is definitely usable in this fight. So I thought she was worthy of a mention. There's some other characters that you could bring here that are definitely way worse. So I think Chris is at least marginally useful in this fight. So hence why she's being mentioned. Now, for healers, the selections should be pretty obvious. First is Leona, bringing Heal, Act Again, and Prayer. Her accessory doesn't really matter, and she's going to use Highland Warriors instead of Shrine Maidens. And that's because Shrine Maidens only give physical damage reduction, not overall damage reduction. So in this fight, that is not very helpful. So that's why you're going to want to bring the Highlands for her. And I would just recommend the general mage PvE stuff. Now, you can bring Goddess here. The accessory really doesn't matter here. Just bring whatever you have on her, whether it's a Holy Ring, whether it's a Bracer Emblem, just whatever you have is fine, to be honest. And then the other option, the other healer I want to talk about is Tiaris. So you're going to want to bring both of these. Run TRs with Heal, Attack Blessing, and Miracle. Now, Teddy Bear is going to be important for the extra turns of Attack Blessing, similar to H&M. So I hope you pulled a Teddy Bear or got a Juggler plushie. And then you could also run Mass Heal over Miracle if you really need the extra healing. Now, obviously, Miracle is very nice, but it has a high cooldown, so if you do need the extra heals, don't be afraid to switch in Mass Heal. I would not personally recommend it, but if you need it, you need it. And then, again, just the general healer recommendations, but with Teddy Bear first, because having 3 turns of Attack Blessing is awesome. Now, Flex, you have a bunch of different options, and they're kind of diverse, so this will be kind of interesting to talk about because you have a number of options here. So, the first one I want to mention is Lanford. Now, I would recommend running Javelin, Blast, and Roar on Lanford. Now, the reason Lanford's great for this fight is his Command Aura, obviously. At 5 stars, it gives 11% to all stats. At 6 stars, it gives 15%. And if you're going to try to leaderboard, especially on a competitive server like Salrath or Baldia, you're absolutely going to want to run Lanford for the extra stats. It's going to be very important. His skills are somewhat flexible. I could see you bringing Chivalry or even maybe Chain Lightning. The one skill I would definitely keep constant is Roar. But you could even bring Defense Break over Blast potentially. But the nice thing about Blast is it gives him the damage redux when he attacks. So, in terms of equipment, have the blue knife, I believe it's called. That's the generic Sakura weapon. That's his best in slot. I really like Arcane Battle Guard for this fight, actually. Because he's getting the 100% boost to all of his stats, plus his Command Aura, he's going to have a pretty bulky MDEF number, and that could be a pretty solid fixed hit to an opponent he attacks. So I actually like Battle Guard for him on this fight. I really don't think the helmet matters too much, but here's some options that could work. And then, in terms of accessory, I think Overlord is nice because it gives him a little bit of everything. Apex Boots, because it helps him with his move, and it gives him some more options movement-wise. It also gives flat magic defense, so if we're going for the Arcane Battle Guard thing, it does synergize there. But you can also use a Slayer or Slayer's Emblem or a Judge Talisman, anything that gets plus attack. So, he does have some options there on accessory. The next unit we could bring here is Joshua, and I would run him with Ruthless, Sneak, and Phantom Raid. Now, Phantom Raid is very helpful for killing the slimes quickly because you have 2 options with this. One, you could open with a Phantom Raid to deal a ton of damage to them and get them down to really low health. Now, or the other one is you could use Phantom Raid to kill multiple slimes in one turn. Now, the only thing you have to be careful of there is that if you kill too many slimes at once, you could potentially kill your own units because their death AoE is map-wide. But if you can kill enough slimes, get your health down, but then heal it all back up, that could be a way to kill them very quickly and help you increase your high score. So the reason you want to run Sneak and Ruthless is to boost his damage redux. So Ruthless, on a critical hit, gives him an additional 30% damage reduction, and Sneak gives an automatic 20%. So he can bulk, he can stack up a lot of damage reduction and become bulky, which is nice and is very desirable for these Ancient Call fights. And the other thing I want to talk about is Double Tap. It's awful. I would not bring it. So for those of you who don't know, Double Tap, it's a 1 times single target attack that has a 40% chance of attacking twice. So attacking twice is similar to like Ledin, how Ledin gets double the ticks on his counters, or I guess on his counters. So it's just not very good. The RNG on Double Tap, if it procs every turn, I guess it's fine, but I just don't think it's very good overall, and I don't think it's worth taking out Sneak for, or even Phantom Raid, so I would just leave Double Tap on the bench. In terms of equipment, just general, his bow stuff, you want Last Rites for the extra damage reduction, King's Crown's his best option, and then you just want an attack boosting accessory, so that's what I'd go for with Joshua. Now the next flex option we have is Angelina, and because of her kit, she offers the ability to operate like a mini Lanford, because she has attack command. And that's the most important skill she brings. And I would recommend here also Defense Support L and Ram. Now, yeah, as I said, she's like a mini Lanford there. Now, if you have a 4-star Lanford, Angelina is going to be better because she's offering 2% more attack. 4-star Lanford only gives 8% to all stats. 5-star gives 11, so 5-star Lanford comes much better. But the other thing you're going to want to consider in this fight is that Lanford boosts all stats, and because you're probably going to be bringing Luna, she wants the MDef boost, which Angelina can't do. But the nice thing about Defense Support L is that it gives damage reduction to allies around you, which can be very helpful for this fight. Now, again, her skills do have some flexibility. You could consider bringing Lightning over Ram, and Attack Intimidate is definitely an option as well. And in terms of equipment, I recommend Throne Guardian over Ragnarok just for the extra HP, Last Rites for bulk, King's Crown for obvious reasons, and then Overlord gives her more stats in general, so I think with her, that's definitely an option there. And then just otherwise, it's just attack items. But because Angelina is a bulky character in general, she can use the stats overall from Overlord, so it kind of depends on what you want to do. But, you know, any attack boosting accessory is going to be fine for her. Now, next one I have is Claret here. And Claret, I would think probably Crush, Blast, and Roar. You can definitely bring Ride the Wind or Lightning Flash if you want another attack or if you want to increase damage. It just kind of depends on how you use Claret in this fight and move her around, because you're not going to get a ton of opportunities to use the movement part of her talent, so she might not be able to use Ride the Wind effectively. Now, I think she's very underwhelming overall. Just, you know, she is obviously a powerful single target attack here, but compared to some of the other options here, I just don't think her kit is as great as some of the other options, but, you know, she is definitely someone usable here. And again, I would recommend a very similar setup to to Angelina, although I think maybe potentially Ragnarok over Throne Guardian because she's going to have a high attack figure, so the fixed damage hit's going to hit hard. So, as for some of the other units that you could consider bringing, I would highly not recommend bringing either Chiffonial or Lambda, as they are AoE units that offer very poor single target abilities. So if those are the only things you have, you know, like, so Chiffonial does have the single target attack cleanse, you know, I suppose you could bring them, but I think they're very underwhelming overall. Landius is not very helpful for this fight. Listel, again, not very helpful, so I would not recommend bringing any of those people. So in terms of the team I'm going to be using, I'm obviously going to bring Luna, so she can provide the magic damage aura. I'll be bringing Lana as my primary DPS / Blizzard unit, Rachel as my other DPS. I'll be bringing both Leona and Tiaras as healers, and for my flex, I want to bring Lanford, because I'm going to have a 6-star Lanford by the time Ancient Call drops. His command aura is going to help me hopefully score pretty well on the leaderboard and get an S rank. Now, the one thing I do want to point out in terms of options is that I have noticed that some teams can forego Lana for Joshua, and I'm not ready to do this yet because Lana I'm also planning on using in Fenrir because I don't have a Ren. I was never able to pull her. So Joshua might make an appearance in my team eventually, but this is the 6-sum that I'm going to run with to start. And this is who I think I am confident I can leaderboard with. So that is it for my Nidhogg video today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate the views. If you enjoyed this video, it'd be great if you could hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more content like this and future guides on all the other Ancient Call bosses. And I'd be interested in knowing who you guys are going to be bringing to Nidhogg. So please let me know in the comments what characters that you are thinking of bringing, and if you have any questions or further comments about this fight. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Loomis, and I'll see you later.